Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the COVID-19 series. So this is part 3 where we're going to talk about post-COVID, the care that you're supposed to take after getting recovered from COVID, and also a few questions regarding plasma donation. So in part 1 and part 2, part 1 we had talked about how to prevent the infection and about vaccines, and in part 2 we had talked about if you're going to get infected, what are we supposed to do, and regarding black and yellow fungus. So if you have not watched part 1 and part 2, do watch it. I would mention the video links in the description box below. You can check it out. So in this part 3, yes, as I mentioned, we are going to talk about post-COVID. And we have two main guest speakers for this episode. That is Dr. Tom George and Dijo Davis. So having said that, let's get right ahead with the video. So before moving ahead, I really want to share this with you guys is that on June 8th, there was a webinar on COVID-19 that was conducted by Karnataka Registered Pharmacy Association along with Hillside College and Rajiv Gandhi College. They had actually approached me and wanted me to become the onboard speaker for the webinar, and I must say I got this wonderful opportunity and exposure to become the onboard speaker for the same topic regarding COVID-19. It was during that week that I was actually planning for the COVID-19 series for the channel. And coincidentally, yes, I got to become the onboard speaker for the same topic. So that was a very good experience and exposure. Anyhow, the two main speakers of the webinar was Sir Sunil S. Chiplankar and Dr. Karthik Rakham on the topics COVID-19 vaccines and thromboembolism. So these two topics are wonderful topics and a topic that you should really know about. So I would mention the video link of this webinar. If it's available as a YouTube video, then I would mention the video link in the description box below. You definitely have to check this out, and I would definitely recommend you all to do so as well. So today in this episode of COVID-19, Dr. Tom George is going to join us. So welcome once again to this third episode of the COVID-19 series, Dr. Tom George. So today we are going to deal with post-COVID questions. So moving to the first question itself, what are the important follow-up things to do after recovering from COVID-19?
Some recovered patients may have to still continue with the supplemental oxygen and the medicines that were prescribed. They have to still practice social distancing, wearing a mask and hand washing, etc., since there is still a risk of reinfection by another variant of the virus. Eat well, take rest and sleep well, and of course get vaccinated.
Yes, so as Dr. Tom George has said, yes, you have to eat well, sleep well, take care, and vaccination. Yes, we have already talked when you're supposed to take vaccination after recovering from COVID, after the first dose and the second dose. And plus, it is very important to keep yourself safe. It does not mean that you have been infected, so yes, you are fine the next time. No, it is still important to keep yourself safe because another variant is coming up. So keep yourself safe no matter what and take all the precautions and get vaccinated. That is the foremost important thing to follow. So let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, should I get the first dose of vaccine after recovering from COVID-19 infection? If yes, a second dose also is needed.
Yes, one needs to get vaccinated immediately after 2 months after recovering from COVID-19 infection, and later the second dose as well, depending upon the vaccine used. Natural infection by coronavirus that leads to COVID-19 infection may not give you a long-lasting immunity, and that immunity varies from person to person. And hence, it is very important to get vaccinated after getting recovered from COVID-19 infection.
Yes, so getting vaccinated is very important. No matter if you're infected or not, you have to get vaccinated. And after 2 months of recovery from infection, you have to get yourself vaccinated. It is a must to keep yourself safe. For the next question, what is plasma donation and who can benefit from it and who can give it?
If you have successfully fought off COVID-19 infection, your blood plasma will have the antibodies that were created against this virus. So you could give your blood plasma to a matching recipient who is fighting off currently COVID-19 infection. That will help them to fight this virus. And the condition is that you should qualify to give blood to another patient. Number two, there should be a gap of at least 14 days after you recover from your infection.
Yes, plasma donation is very important. You can donate your plasma if you are a COVID-19 recovered patient, because your plasma does contain antibodies against this virus. So because of that, you can donate your plasma to others who are infected, provided there are specifications, as Dr. Tom George has just mentioned. So yes, donate your plasma. That can actually help others to recover from the infection as well. So moving ahead to the next question. Now, is a convalescent plasma treatment effective?
After some initial encouraging results, it has been found that this line of treatment is not producing any significant results. So, this line of treatment has been discouraged by the government.
Okay, so that's about convalescent plasma treatment. Now, the next question is what is meant by monoclonal antibody cocktail treatment?
Monoclonal antibody cocktail treatment is an expensive treatment option. Its availability is still just starting in India. Monoclonal antibodies are antibodies who will fight against coronavirus, and they have been cloned in the lab to increase their quantity and are mixed together. Such antibodies, monocloned, are mixed together, and hence the name cocktail, and given to the patient. Who can receive this treatment? Children about 12, anybody about 12 years of age, 40 kilograms of body weight, and who got the infection in last 7 days. So this will be effective if administered within 7 days of infection.
Yes, that was a very informational answer regarding the monoclonal antibody cocktail treatment for COVID. How can you take it? Who can take it? And is it effective? So, next question. Now, moving to the next question. Now, will I need a third dose of vaccine in the future?
Perhaps nobody knows the answer for this. In the current scenario and in the current understanding, it is believed that these vaccines will give us protection for approximately 1 year or so. A lot of studies are being done on the subjects who received these vaccines in the beginning, when the availability started recently. A lot of studies are being done, data are being collected, and studies, when the results are out, then only we'll come to know whether these vaccines can give us a permanent protection or even a third dose of vaccines are required or not.
Okay, so that's still a question mark, because yes, we are getting vaccinated now, but there are people who have got vaccinated long back. So it is mentioned only 1 year would be the effect of the vaccine, but yes, studies are happening now. Let's see what's the answer for that. So for the next question, what are the other vaccination options coming up in the future?
Different vaccine varieties are being explored by vaccine companies all over the world. There are a few interesting options like single dose vaccine, nasal spray vaccine, and also mixed vaccine type option as well. Bharat Biotech of India is testing a single dose vaccine which will be available for both children and adults. Gamaleya Institute of Russia is trying to reach different markets with their single dose vaccine called Sputnik Light. Canadian authorities are trying out a combination of vaccines like the first dose as AstraZeneca and the second dose as Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. In the coming days, we can see a lot of different options which will make it easier for people to receive, and they can reach the vaccine progress in a faster pace.
Yes, so that's a very good news. As of now, yes, we are following the traditional way of getting vaccinated, but yes, there are innovative technologies coming up for vaccination, which can be more effective or even more convenient for us. So, yes, that's quite a silver lining for the dark cloud. Anyhow, moving to the next question. Now, why are we hearing about so many different variants of COVID 19 virus nowadays, like alpha, delta, delta plus, etc.?
Viruses are very simple structures. There's an outer protein cover surrounding a nucleic material, which is either DNA or RNA. These genetic materials, they replicate itself to make its own copies, but it can survive and do so only within a host cell, in this case our cells. When they replicate, there could be some mistakes and they make slightly different copies of themselves. These are called variants. Sometimes these variants are of concern because they become virulent and they make more troubles to us. The more infections happen, the more the chances for getting more variants. Sometimes these variants become global variants of concern. And the best way to stop these variants is to stop the infections altogether.
Yes, exactly. Stopping the infection is the only way for us to stop all these variants. So we have come to the end of this Q&A session with Dr. Tom George. So once again, thank you for joining us in this episode of the Charm Hub regarding the COVID-19 series. So yes, thank you for sharing all your answers and questions for all these three episodes. It has been wonderful. And plus, yes, the information, especially in this video, I must say, yes, many of us are still unaware of all these information, what we had shared in this video. So thank you so much once again for joining us in the Charm Hub. So yes, we have a second guest speaker for this video today, that is Dijo Davis. Now, before moving ahead, I really want to give a gist of why did I bring yes, Dijo Davis as a speaker for this video. Because in my family personally, yes, in the whole of my family, many of them had been infected with coronavirus and have been recovered as well. But I particularly brought in this case because, yes, it was a very serious case. And I really want to bring that awareness, that seriousness among people of why you shouldn't take this as lightly as you think it is. Because many of them are getting infected, are getting recovered, but few of them are not. And yes, you can't say that, yes, you would get recovered definitely in you or any of your loved ones. So it is a very serious matter. It all depends on each individual. It's a very serious matter that you have to take in consideration. That is why I brought yes, Dijo Davis as my guest speaker. So to bring about the seriousness and his experience with this situation, yes, I would want to invite Dijo Davis to talk about his experience with this COVID-19 infection.
Yeah, so it's been a tough 1 month that we've been like everyone. I think COVID was another general thought that it's just another disease which just would come in and go off, but we never thought it'll come to our place. We see the first wave we saw it is too far away. We never thought about our relatives or close ones getting sick. The second wave obviously was the hardest hit, and again we thought nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be there. We just anyway we're going to be at home. Especially in my case, I was working from home. My wife is working from home. Dad, mom is anyway at home. Not much of going out. But yes, once in a while we go out to purchase some goods, like the groceries and so on. So we never thought it was going to come here at any stage, but it did come. And the first to get affected was myself. And as usual, I couldn't believe that it did happen to me, because considering that I was in the small location I am in, and the limited access that I go outside, this was something that was out of the ordinary. What did happen, then I got myself tested, and it was positive. Once it was positive, I got myself isolated. But in that 1 or 2 days, I think it was enough for me to transfer this to the youngest of my family, which is a 6-month-old baby, and he got it. And how did we know that he got it? Because he started passing excess motion, and a lot of fluid was lost in that phase of time. So we're talking about 5 to 6 times he was losing motion. And just ensure that everything was right, we went and checked. And the biggest problem was then getting him tested in the hospital, and not no hospitals are accepting patients who are COVID, even though it's a young kid like a 6-month-old baby. So that's the first shock that I got, that how people treat this whole thing. More than the disease, it's it's the isolation or the separation that we get from the society. But fortunately, we had some good Samaritans as well to support this. And my wife and the baby, obviously, I was isolated in a different room, so somebody else could take my baby and my wife. Took them to the hospital. The doctors verified. They gave, as usual, they gave the antibiotics and so on, and that diagnosed. And but during that stage, obviously, my baby was positive, but mother was negative. And they did say to please maintain precautions for my mother, but you know how far the mother can go with the precautions with the baby on. So she had to come back. The baby went fine. Then my son, 7-year-old son, also got infected, and but then the symptoms of kids were not very high. It was pretty low. Fortunately, we could go with the treatment, and the regular treatment of what the COVID would go through, and they were fine. Mom also got affected, but again, 4 5 days, she also got well. Fortunately, she had taken a vaccination, one dose of vaccination before, so the intensity was low. My wife obviously got affected. My wife and my dad got infected at the same time, and this is like, I'm talking about, all this happened in just a week and a half from the day I got infected. So it is inevitable that the COVID impact is just not to one person. It can just spread to the entire family unless and until we do the necessary precautions. But I still feel it just, since you're a family, since if you're a bigger community, a bigger set of people sitting together, the impact is more, because the influence of it is. I've also known houses which has got 10 to 15 people there. They're all getting affected because one person got affected. So my dad and my wife got it at the same time. Fortunately, I my 10 days was done at my level, so I could come down. I could go and see what support I could give these guys. In the meanwhile, my wife was okay, getting recovered, but my dad started deteriorating, and since then it was all uphill task. I thought it was probably something to do with his heart ailment. I never, because almost 5 6 days are done after his COVID was tested positive. We've given him the regular COVID medicines, is all fine, but um, he was a well built man. He was good. He was active. Everything was strong. But then I had to take him to the hospital. He went through a very very tough 13 days where his entire process just deteriorated, and at the end of it, I lost him. I lost him on the 13th day, purely because he had he was the COVID then got him a pneumonia, bronchitis pneumonia, and from pneumonia he finally got a heart attack at the end of it. So the process was tough on the family. So all I'm trying to say is that careful, when you say the word careful, people ignore things like wearing simple things like mask, gloves, and just flaunt themselves, saying that nothing's going to happen to me. But No strong man, no weak man is going to be spared. It's there, it's there. So all you can do as the minimum to do is that, irrespective of your discomfort with a mask or discomfort with the gloves, or using sanitizer, not very common, or washing your hands with soap, just don't ignore the fact that it is the bare minimum that a human can do on this. Over and above, you sure can get it. There's no doubt in it, and it is inevitable that it will reach out to everyone's house. But all you gotta do is just be yourself prepared. The secret of this is to find out when your first symptoms was identified. That is your first day of infection, and not the day when you start getting treated. So the moment you know that you're feeling discomfort, there is an illness attached to it, and get yourself tested, and get it resolved. I hope this is useful. Thank you.
So thank you so much for sharing with us about the experience that you had went through with infection, as well as, yes, what you had to lose in your life because of COVID-19. And yes, Dijo Davis is my cousin, and he had lost his father, who is my beloved uncle. Only once you experience this in your family, you would know the seriousness. And yes, I pray that nothing of that sort happens. So take things seriously, be aware of what has to be done, take things seriously. It is not something that you have to take into consideration very light. You have to take it seriously, so that you are safe and your loved ones are safe too. And definitely, one main solution is vaccination. Get vaccinated. No matter what, you will get infected, fine, but yes, at least the strength of how the infection is striking you is very less. So do get vaccinated. That's an option that you have with you now. So do take that. So yes, that is from our second guest speaker. So this was a COVID-19 series episode 1, 2, and 3, where we had talked about how to prevent it, treat it, and post-COVID questions. So I really wanted to use my channel to bring the maximum awareness among people. So I hope that was informational. And plus, yes, I wanted to do a different lifestyle video, but I realized that the right lifestyle video that I can pick up for the time being is regarding COVID-19 awareness. And it has become a lifestyle that we have to follow to protect ourselves. So that's why I brought this into my channel. Anyways, I hope that was informational, and definitely I would want to give a big thanks to Dr. Tom George for spending his time, his hard work, his knowledge, his information, and sharing all his known information with us in all these 3 episodes. So thank you, Dr. Tom George, once again. And also, I would like to thank Dijo Davis for sharing his experience with the COVID-19 infection. So in my next video, we're going to have a compilation of all the 3 videos, only the main questions from the 3 videos, and going to compile it into a Malayalam video. One main point I would have to say is that that video would contain a topic which we have not dealt with or even spoken about in these 3 videos, that is the Delta Plus variant virus. So because of that, to bring the awareness on that virus, I would also add in English subtitles for the video. So do check that video out when it comes out. And anyhow, I hope all these videos were helpful and informational. If so, do subscribe to my channel. If you've not yet subscribed, do take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Just hit the icon that pops over here to subscribe to my channel. And also do not forget to hit the notification bell. Only if you hit the notification bell, you would get a notification every time whenever I put up a new video. So definitely hit the notification bell and press the option all to get notified. So see you in my next video, and till then, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye. Take care.